Okay, what's up guys? Welcome back. So I am currently working on the driver's side intercooler piping. So this one was a 180 and I ended up trimming it shorter, trimming the end off, cutting it in the middle, flipping the 180 backwards. So the portion that I cut from here is now over here, and then the other end was linked there. So I got this tack welded up now, and I'm basically just using some precision measuring equipment, 2 wastegate boxes. So these are the wastegates, and I kind of just have it ballparked up. I know how high I want it, and I have it centered. So basically what I'm going to do is build the piping, have it held in the position that I want, and then I'm going to build the bracket to mount it after that so I can hold it in position instead of trying to eyeball and build and measure the bracket first and then do the piping. Because with the clamps and the intercooler piping clamped on, even without the boxes, it should hold it into position. So that's the thought process here. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to be cutting and trimming the other 180 that's going to go here. But what I'm going to do is use some masking tape and kind of measure where I want to cut. So I'm just going to run this one underneath the pipe over here on the backside coming from the other turbo to where I want it, and then I'm going to mark with the tape where I want to cut it. So I'll probably straighten it out, but that's how I know where I'm going to want to cut this thing. And I did pick up new blades for my bandsaw today, and I'll explain that to you guys in a little bit. But I need a new bandsaw blade. Essentially, they were dull, or the blade was dull. So the cuts that I was doing yesterday, they were starting to get really wavy because I was forcing the cut. So instead of, forcing the cut, it was working. It just wasn't working as well as it could have. And I was kind of having to lean on it to cut through it. So I just got new blades. So I'll go cut this and I'll show you how smooth and easy this cuts. And I did the tacks on here and I didn't even have to clean the edge. That's how clean it cut. It cut, and I put the tacks on. I didn't have to use like a flat disc or acetone or any type of cleaning. I just cut it. This is fresh out of the box. I cut it and did the tack, no cleaning at all. It was fine. Here's an example of the cuts that I made yesterday. And you can see the whole cut is pretty rough. There's a lot of extra material hanging off. And these ones are relatively straight. But this is the last cut that I did when I decided I just needed to stop. So put that one in the center. See how crooked that is. I was trying to cut it straight, just the blade was starting to wander and I was having to like really push on it to get it through. And it's really just garbage. There's a lot of stuff to clean off. So I'll show you how to cut on the other one. What I've been trying to do to save the pipe from getting scratched is making sure I'm cleaning all the extra metal material off before I start the next cut. And then depending on how the piece looks, I'm wrapping it back up in the bubble wrap that it came in up until my cut point. You can see how quick that went and how smooth the cut is. There's like barely anything that I even need to clean off. And and the other stuff was so bad I was using a flap wheel to clean the stuff off. So this one works a lot better. Nice fresh blade, and I'll cut the other one and we'll weld it. Alright, so I just held the pipe in position with my hand and then wrap some masking tape about halfway around it. I'll throw a tack on it and then peel the tape off and put a tack on the opposite side. Kind of fighting me a little bit. Alright, so that tack down there for the bottom pipe was a little bit tough. It ended up shifting right before the tack stuck. So I had to break the tack loose and then refit it and re-weld it. So it's tacked on now. So both of the passenger sides are tacked in place. And that one's a little bit fuzzy, but that one I took it's like a perfect 90 cut and then into an angled cut, so the pipe isn't really round. So that's why you see some differences in the pipe, but should be able to weld that shut. So here's the intercooler now in position, and now I'm going to start working on the driver's side. We'll get that pipe done, wrap it around. I'm going to connect it to this guy here, and I was looking at some pictures of this thing today, and I was thinking about, while I was at work on break, I was like looking at pictures of this when I was deciding on a thumbnail for the last video. So I think I might get rid of this pipe, this elbow. I might do pie cuts. So I might try to do that because I was thinking about blow-off valve fitment, and I could do blow-off valve down there or something, but I might try to do like a couple pie cuts into like a straight coupler and then do blow-off valve on the front. Maybe we'll do that. I don't know yet. Undecided. So I'm going to start working on the other pipe. I'm just going to do the same concept and do one swoop all the way around into there and see how that goes. Alright, so pretty much got the intercooler fitted now. I putzed around with this side for longer than I should have. I was going to use a 90 and then kind of do a 90 around here with some pie cuts, and I don't know if I just completely didn't think about that I have another 90 right here. So I just kept this as a 90, used the little elbow coupler up here, and then I ended up welding that little guy down there, one tack. So this is all one solid piece pretty much that comes down to there. I do have to finish weld all of it. I just have it tacked in place right now. So this is what it looks like with everything tacked in place. I haven't decided yet what I want to do with the center. So did a little putzing around to try to make sure that the intercooler was pretty much evenly spaced away from the AC condenser, and that the center pipe was, you know, centered and not crooked. So this pipe only comes to about right here though. So technically right now I just put a spacer piece in there just to mock it up. So it looks like I'm gonna have to add some welded pieces onto here, which might work out perfectly if I wanted to do the pie cuts into the throttle body with the blow-off valve there. So, however, it's a new day now. Ended up going after work to get a new bottle of argon. So this is what I was getting last night. I think I showed that already. And it was kind of looking really boogery and ugly, and I just couldn't get it right. And then I scratched it, and I turned up the gas a lot. And then I got a clean one here. And then here's what I just did with the new bottle attached. I didn't clean it. I think I did an acetone wipe. I didn't scratch it or anything. And then I was able to get, a nice clean bead out of it. So glad I did all this on a practice piece. And I also did another practice piece. So right here, I just took 2 of the other pieces that I cut off and went around a little bit. Kind of practiced on these before I get going on the other pipes. I think I was just slow on gas. I mean, probably considering the tank ran out. So let's get started on the other pipe. So usually you can scuff it with a wire brush, and that's what I did on this. And the reason I'm not doing it is because you can see the scratching on the outside of the weld area. So you can see the scratching all the way around from the wire brush. So that's why I'm just doing the acetone, trying to get it clean and not do the extra scuff. So, all right, this is gonna be a very long, awkward weld, so I'll take you guys along for the ride. Cut it off there. Basically, it gets to a point where you can't get down. The pipe is hard to do a long, consistent bead on, but it looked like a little wobbly, but what can you do, I guess? Alrighty, boys and girls, here's the pipe. So there's a couple ugly spots on it. There's a big booger there. I was having a hard time getting it started. But here I wanna put the bead on this. I'm gonna do it just like I did this side. So you can see that it's just crimped. So what I'm using for this is this little wire crimper tool. And it's got this little tooth in it. So what happens, you just take this little tooth, if you guys haven't seen this before, and squeeze it. And you get a perfectly rolled bead. And you just go all the way around and squeeze it like that. And then you get a perfect little bead all the way around. So I'm gonna go finish this bead up, and then we'll put it on the car. Alrighty guys, so I'm just gonna do the acetone wipe on this. Got a couple good tacks already from before. So I think what I wanna do with this, just to test my theory, I think I learned a little bit doing the last pipe. I think I was getting a little bit generous with my tungsten stick out that I had, and I wasn't getting good gas coverage, which is why I was having issues with the tack. And I moved the tungsten in probably half the stick out. I pushed it in quite a bit, and the weld seemed like it got a lot better. So I'm not gonna clean anything else. I'm not gonna scratch it. I did end up scratching that one with the brush. So I'm gonna try this one without it and see if that's actually what it was. Alrighty guys, so I think I'm gonna wrap it up here. It's like 2 a.m. right now. 2:10. I don't know why I stayed up this late doing this. I get up at 4 o'clock yesterday morning to go to work. So, silly boy, but this is all connected now. So all the intercooler piping is done. This top weld looks pretty decent. These other ones I kind of had some issues with because there was some gaps. It wasn't cut completely straight, and with the pie cuts, you know, it's kind of, I don't know, it wasn't really lined up perfectly. So did have some issues there because I was kind of trying to fill a gap where this one was cut and it lined up really nice. The pieces lined up really nice, so it went together really smooth. So but yeah, kind of just wanted to practice on doing some pie cuts. I'll probably get a different coupler for this instead of the big old elephant nose hanging down. But other than that, everything's in there. Just got to clamp it down. These are all welded. That one's all welded down there. That guy down there, all welded. So then I'll have to build a bracket for this. Next steps would be, you know, the bracket. I do have to cut and re-weld this pipe and fit it with the bumper and do the wastegates. Once I get the wastegates welded on and this thing dialed in, then I'm going to pull everything back out, do the power steering line, shifter bracket, and then put everything back in and start doing the wiring, button everything back up, and hopefully that should be pretty much good to go. I'm dragging, guys. I'm tired. Going to bed. Have a good one.